So, Mississippi is having a water crisis, and that's not the only place that's having issues with the natural elements. I've seen where there's some places like Iran, I believe it's Iran, and they have flooding. There is some other places where they're having like heat waves. I mean, like here, even in California, it has been extremely hot to the point to where we'll have like rolling blackouts. Yeah, every now and then you'll see like street lights that won't work, and different things are happening, and nobody's really talking so much about it. I don't believe. I believe they're just trying to like ease through it, but I really believe that a lot of this, all of this, kind no matter how you try to or kind of slice it, it just seems like it leads to climate change. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. So this article, it's talking about the Mississippi water shortage. And so this is no joke, y'all. They have to deploy the National Guard. It is getting worse out there. And this is not going to be the end of it. I believe we are about to see some wacky weather, some stuff we do not want to see. And it is affecting us. You cannot deny that we are now seeing the effects of climate change. So, seven new districts sites open in Mississippi state capital on Thursday to dispense bottled water to people who have been without clean tap water since the city's long trouble treatment plant failed 4 days ago. So now this is talking about their treatment plant, but I believe it all is going to stem from something deeper. So right here, Jackson mayor on water crisis in Mississippi. It's humiliating to our residents. So he's talking about it, and so he's been here, and so this is Chokwe Antar Lumumba. So Mayor Chokwe Antar Lumumba tells the Griot that residents in Jackson, Mississippi are frustrated amid ongoing water contamination as the federal officials work to bring relief. Okay, so it's humiliating to our residents. So you see him pictured here, you might have seen him in videos, and some people might already be a buzz about all of this issue right here. So it's humiliating to our residents. We're frustrated. So this is Mayor Chokwe Antar Lumumba said the residents of Jackson, Mississippi, amid its ongoing water crisis. The mayor briefly spoke to the Griot by phone in an off-the-cuff interview. This was on Thursday afternoon. He's been on several interviews, and he's been really on his feet on about the whole thing. So for years now, this is something that was leading up to this. And so for years, the city of Jackson has dealt with water issues from a deteriorating water system in the state capital. So now 150,000 people are without clean and safe drinking water after historic rainfall. Okay? See what I'm talking about? That storms cut off access last week. Okay? And so in this response to the crisis in Jackson, President Joe Biden declared a federal emergency and authorized the Federal Emergency Management, which is FEMA, to coordinate disaster relief in Jackson, Mississippi. So White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre noted that Jackson has received $20 million in funding for the administration's American Rescue Plan and to upgrade the city's water and sewer infrastructure. And so what do you think? Is this a long time coming or what? It had to come to a disaster for this to happen. So the presidential spokespersons also said that across the state of Mississippi, $450 million was provided through the COVID-19 economic recovery legislation. So the state also has about $75 million in bipartisan infrastructure law funding available to provide clean and safe water. And so will continue to partner closely And we're going to look at all the options. This is what's said by Jean Pierre. And so here's the press secretary, White House press secretary, Karine Jean Pierre, answers questions during this daily briefing at the White House. And so this was September the 1st, very recent, 2022 in Washington, D.C. So the crisis has pulled a large scope of government agencies together to work to change the dynamic that has Jackson residents using bottled water for their daily routines. What I was looking at, they couldn't even use the bathtub to take a bath, and they couldn't drink anything. You know, you use water, be surprised at everything in your daily use, washing hands, flushing the toilet. They wasn't even able to flush the toilet. That's how bad it was. And so we'll see this and how this story develops and how it ends or how it progresses. And so Environmental Protection Agency, which is the EPA administrator, Michael Reagan, who is currently out of the country, said in the statement to the GRIO, okay, so that basically what they're doing, I guess that they're trying to work on this situation. So the story continues. And so EPA is working closely with FEMA partners to continue to communicate with the state and local officials on the ground in Mississippi to address the water crisis. And so that's pretty much that article. I think there's more to the article, of course. And so if you want to read more to the article, I usually go all the way down. I think I've read most of it, but it said that FEMA Diane Criswell headed to Jackson, Mississippi for a visit to identify the solutions after residents have gone through a week of unclean, unsanitary water. So what do you think that might have happened? I'm sure that videos have surfaced. People who have family members that live out there have talked about the unsanitary situations that have gone on. So there's more. There's not that much more to this article. So I would believe the people that live in the state, what their experience has been. So there's more to the story, I'm sure, that we will see coming in the following weeks. But this is really sad, y'all. And so I was seeing that there was some places that were having heat waves like you wouldn't believe. Like today, we're in California and we are having a heat advisory. It's been all week. I mean, it seems like this heat wave is never ending. There's wildfires happening during the heat wave. And so you know what happens when there's a heat wave and then wildfires. They definitely don't mix, and it makes it harder to put those fires out. So with this going on, the water crisis, and then you have some places that, I kid you not, they are flooded. I was looking at something and I was like in disbelief. They were saying in Iran, I believe it was, where the people were actually in boats. They said that they had lost a lot of their some of their like homes were flooded out and they didn't have any food. And I saw this also in parts of Africa. And so you can see that the climate change has something to do a lot with what's going on. And the weather, it just seems like it's gotten worse in some places. It seems worse in some places more so than others. And so the people, I guess, who are like living that are very like in like third as they would say third world countries, or they have less resources, seem to feel more of the brunt of a lot of this than, let per se, some of the countries that's supposed to be have more resources, that is like the US and some of the more developed countries. But we will see what happens with this water crisis. It is sad. And so anytime what would it feel like, weeks and weeks going without water and clean drinking water and not being able to cook and take a bath and flush the toilet, and you have to rely on like some place to go pick up your water and you don't know what to do? It's like, oh my gosh, it is really sad, but that is what is happening. And so I've seen like some of the most popular, I'll say talking heads or political talking figures on social media talking about the water crisis, but we'll see what happens with this. This is really sad that the people have to experience this. And so, especially well into, now you got kids trying to go back to school and everything. Wow, we'll see how this develops. We have to keep an eye on this to see how this develops. Because when one place is affected, it seems like it's a domino effect.